Hey everybody, and welcome to the Dragon Lifestyle. I am going to tell you I don't like the term resolution, um, because unfortunately New Year's resolutions are kind of doomed to fail from the get-go. What I want to say is I'm going to tell you about some of my goals, and I would love to hear some of your goals now that the turn of the new year has happened. So, yeah, that's we're gonna call them New Year's goals, or like the year's goals as opposed to New Year's resolutions, because, like I said, a lot of people think New Year's resolutions and it's like, oh, like those are doomed to fail. But when you have goals, usually you can try and stick to your goals at least even a little bit. You can move the mile marker just an inch. Um, so, without further ado, let's get into it. The number one goal that I am going to be doing throughout the year is that I am going to be focusing on eating healthy and really eating at home more versus eating like at restaurants and stuff like that. Part of that is financial reasons. Part of it is also like you make healthier food at home, right? When you go to a restaurant, usually they use like too many spices or too much butter or stuff like that, and so it is going to unfortunately be like naturally be more unhealthy than if you eat at home. And yes, I know there's like health fast food, like there's healthy fast food, there's healthy restaurants, but even those are still like if you can make it at home, it's still better for you. And honestly sometimes a lot more satisfying. But the main reason that I am trying to focus on this is that last year when I was talking to my doctor, like I was working out, I was going to the gym, being pretty active since it had really been like a good over um, not quite I guess it has been over a year since my accident where my foot got broken and I actually gained a lot of my weight, but it was just kind of like I'm able to move again, I'm able to do things, and I really realized that when I was laid up and I could not do things, that I actually really enjoy being able to like say go to the gym or go on a hike or even just go for an evening walk. And it was something I really enjoyed, and I was doing all this, and it's like I'm not really seeing that much difference. You know, it's one of those things that they say like you can't out exercise a bad diet, and that was definitely something I was doing, and I justified like while I'm really busy, I'm finishing my master's degree, which I did finish by the way. But I'm finishing my master's degree, like I lost my grandmother early last year, and then a couple really close dogs throughout the year, and it was just really stressful and everything, and so it was like I was using that as kind of an excuse. I realized that, but also kind of an explanation of why I hadn't been eating healthier last year, or really kind of watching um, my spending, and also just in general the type of diet I was on. So this year I really want to focus on getting that narrowed. One, honestly, I like eating food at home. My main problem is cooking for one person is really difficult. Because I have cooked for essentially like my parents for a long enough time, that and granted I moved out several years ago from their house, but it's still kind of like that ingrained of like I need to make bigger portions, and I don't need to make bigger portions. In fact, I need to learn how to make smaller portions, and the reason for that is that I get pretty sick of the same food really quickly. Like for example, like I'll like eating like say salad, but if salad is all I have for like a couple days, then I'm like I hate salad. I don't want any more salad. So I need variety, because variety is the spice of life. But I need variety in what I'm eating so that I don't get sick of one thing. Because I've definitely, I went through a phase where I ate like a lot of chicken sandwiches, and now I'm like, chicken sandwich maybe, nah, not really. So it is. difficult in terms of that to, make sure that you have a good variety and make sure that you're really buying things that you plan to eat. Um, and especially, it's really, really, really hard on produce like fruit and vegetables because the portions are just so big, even bigger than like recommended values of fruits and vegetables, and it's really easy for that stuff to go bad, especially if you're trying to eat it and you just don't end up eating it because it's just too much. Like a small thing of blackberries, like if I'm gonna eat blackberries, I really only need like this, like a cup. I only need a cup of blackberries, or maybe 2 cups, so that I can have blackberries another day. And it's like 5 cups of blackberries. It's ridiculous. This is even like shopping at like stores that are supposed to have smaller portions. Um, so one big challenge is produce, and that's probably the biggest challenge because produce is very healthy for you. Um, and then the second challenge is just having the time to sit down and cook the meals. So I do use a lot of frozen meals, which is I guess better at least than eating out, but still not as good as if I was buying the ingredients and making dinner. But sometimes when you get home from work, if you go into the office, you just don't want to then stand around and cook. But it is something that I am trying to do a lot better, and I would like you guys to also hold me accountable. So let me, like in any video I post, just kind of ask how my I don't want to say diet, but say healthier lifestyle is going. Second thing is I need to be a lot more consistent on my exercise and going to the gym. Um, while I did do a lot of like walking and hiking and going to the gym last year, more so than I had probably in a couple previous years, I still was not consistent with it. So like I would go maybe once a week to the gym, and then I'd walk maybe once or twice a week, and that was it. And then maybe once a month I'd go on a hike or something. Um, so I was not super consistent with my exercise. So that's part of the other part of leading a healthier lifestyle is that I want to be a lot more consistent with my exercise. Like I want to be able to go 3 to possibly 4 times a week to the gym. Anymore is just kind of overdoing it and possibly opening myself up to muscular or skeletal injury, and I don't necessarily need that. Especially since a little over like a year ago, like a year and a few months ago, you know, having having a broken foot really puts in perspective how much you don't want to have broken bones, as silly as that sounds. So part of me wanting to be healthier is actually just also be more consistent with going to the gym, or maybe even taking an evening walk like 3 or 4 times a week as opposed to just once a week. Just so that I'm moving and keeping my body going, because one of the things that science has proven is that if you are sedentary, that's when your body stops doing what it's supposed to, which is functioning. But as long as you have some movement, then usually you're overall healthier, and a lot of stuff like heart disease, diabetes, stuff like that is a lot lower risk. And finally, and I should specify. Okay, so let me specify because I never finished my story. But let me specify why I'm kind of really focused on this right now is because I'm not in pre-diabetes. I'm not in diabetes, but my body may be experiencing some insulin resistance, which can then lead to pre-diabetes or diabetes, and so that's something that I don't want to happen. Mainly because there's a lot of foods that I absolutely would just have to cut cold turkey if that did happen, and I love cheesecake every so often. I will say the one thing I have learned, so I did keto for like the first 3 months of 2020 before the pandemic actually happened. I did keto, and the one thing I learned is like I don't necessarily like bread all that much, and I don't have a super huge sweet tooth. Like I can go quite a few days without being like, oh, I want like chocolate or like a cheesecake or ice cream or something like that. I can actually go quite a few days without wanting that, which is good towards leading a healthy lifestyle. That being said, obviously those things are not bad for you in moderation, but they are bad for you if, say, you're eating a cheesecake a day, right? So that's kind of the main reason that I'm really kind of focusing on this healthy lifestyle mentality. Second mentality, I want to finish paying off a significant portion of my debt. It's actually something I started in 2023, was really focusing on paying off debt. And so, long story short, I got in a very bad relationship with an ex. Was abused in more than just emotional, finances, social, lots of different ways of abuse that ended up happening. And so I am trying to take the financial portion back into control. One, because I want to invest for my future, and investing in general is actually pretty fun for me. And then two, just having a large portion of that debt paid down would really kind of reduce a lot of stress that I carry of being like, am I going to make enough money to support everything for this month, or I have like very little in savings, so if anything breaks or I need to go to an emergency thing, I'm kind of screwed. I'm gonna have to like liquidate some of my investments, and that stresses me out. So being able to pay off a good portion of the debt, and some of that debt is obviously unavoidable, like my car, deciding to give up the ghost, or give up the ghost. Um, my car deciding to just basically call itself and be like, I'm dead, and just not work anymore. Thus, meaning I had to get a car loan. So some of that debt is unavoidable, but it's still something that I can focus on. It's something that I can work on, and something that I can kind of set a goal towards. And then third and last is I want to travel at least 3 times this year. Whether that's just like a short weekend road trip or even just a longer week vacation. I want to have like a good. I feel like at least three traveling at least 3 times this year would be a pretty good and manageable goal. Just because it is not, one, it's nice to have time off of work, and two, it's nice to go see places that I don't see every day, right? Like I see Colorado every day, as beautiful as it is. It's like, oh, it's Colorado, it's the same thing over and over, and it could be seeing Hawaii, or it could be seeing Bora Bora, or any of these cool tropical places, or even, heck, I could even be seeing Wyoming. All right, it just would be something different. I think it would be good to just kind of get out there and have some fun with my girlfriend, and really enjoy traveling with her. And so I really do want to focus on at least like 3 times this year, and then maybe even more next year. And I did get my passport, so hopefully like one of those trips is actually international, because I got my passport, and I think it'd be really cool to, like, I don't know, maybe go to Mexico for a week or a few days, or even go to Europe, or Canada, well, somewhere that's not the United States. See a different culture, see a different perspective. I just think that would be fun. But those are kind of my goals for the new year. Again, I like to use the term goals and not resolutions, because goals seem much more manageable than resolutions. Resolutions are like, oh, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. And you'll notice that even though I said healthier lifestyle, I did not attach losing weight to it, because one, that is probably something that'll kind of just naturally happen. Um, but two, even though I do carry obviously some excess weight, I also carry a lot of muscle mass. And so, and I just also have a thicker skeletal structure than average people. So honestly, I'm always going to be a little bit overweight. Could I lose some pounds here and there? Sure, but um, I just want to be healthier to start out with, and then I'll focus on losing weight. Um, Even if I'm still say over 300 pounds, but I feel like I can run a marathon and do pretty well, that's probably pretty good. That's probably a pretty good condition of my body, even if I am on, say, the heavier side. But so I don't want to lose too much weight to where it's like, oh, I can't run a marathon because my muscles are like collapsing upon themselves. So you notice that I was choosing to do healthier lifestyle and say not like lose weight, because I think one leads to the other. So that's why that's a goal. But yeah, let me know your New Year's. If you want to call them resolutions, then by all means call them a resolution. But if you want to call them goals, just let me know your New Year's goals in the comment section. And let's all kind of just hold each other accountable. And, at the end of the year, maybe we can come back to this video and say, hey, how did you do at like financing a house or something like that? I don't know. I imagine that's probably someone's goal for the new year. But we will talk to you guys later. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you guys later, and goodbye.